I sat at my private table at Luigi's, watching the Friday night dinner crowd through the restaurant's elegant mirrors. 6 months had passed since Mom's text. Until you get a real career instead of playing restaurateur, you're not welcome at family dinner. We can't have you embarrassing us in front of the Richardsons again. The Richardsons are family friends who owned a chain of mediocre steakhouses. The ones who'd laughed when I said I was studying global cuisine and restaurant management instead of going to law school like my sister. Miss Parker, Marco the maitre d', approached quietly. Your family just pulled up in the parking lot. Right on schedule, I smiled, checking my Cartier watch. Every Friday at 7 p.m. like clockwork. The Parker family dinner at Luigi's, a 20-year tradition they had no idea I'd owned. Through the antique mirror, I watched them enter. Dad in his usual Brooks Brothers suit, Mom wearing her country club pearls, my sister Amanda with her lawyer husband, all ready for their weekly performance of Perfect Family. Good evening, Mr. Parker, Marco greeted them with practiced warmth. Your usual table is occupied, I finished, standing up. But I'd be happy to join you at another one. Mom's face went pale. Dad's wine glass froze halfway to his lips. Amanda's perfect smile cracked. Sarah. Mom managed. What are you doing here? This is a private establishment. Actually, Mother, I smiled, it's my establishment. Along with Le Petit Jardin downtown, the Golden Swan on 5th, and about 30 other private establishments across the city. Impossible, Dad sputtered. Luigi's has been owned by the Romano family for generations. Until 3 months ago, I nodded to old Mr. Romano, who was watching from the kitchen door. When my restaurant group made them an offer they couldn't refuse. Though I kept them on as partners, of course. Some traditions are worth preserving. The other diners were trying not to stare as my family stood frozen in the entrance. The perfect Parker Friday night dinner was derailing spectacularly. Your table is ready, Marco announced, professional as ever. Unless you'd prefer to dine elsewhere? Mom's eyes darted to the door, probably calculating the social damage of the Parker family being seen walking out of Luigi's on a Friday night. We'll stay, Dad decided, his business instincts taking over. But we have some things to discuss. Of course, I gestured to their usual table, the best in the house, with a view of both the garden and the wine cellar. Though you should know, as owner, I've made some changes to the menu. Changes? Amanda finally spoke, horror in her voice. But Luigi's never changes. I smiled, remembering all the times they'd mocked my culinary studies, my travels learning from world-class chefs, my obsession with revolutionizing traditional restaurants. Everything changes, sister dear. Even family traditions. As they took their seats, Marco appeared with wine, not their usual overpriced Bordeaux, but a rare vintage I'd discovered in a small Italian vineyard. To new beginnings, I raised my glass. And to finally having a real career. Mom's hands shook as she reached for her menu. She was about to discover that her embarrassing daughter had done more than just buy their favorite restaurant. I'd reinvented it. And they were about to eat their words. The menu. Mom's voice trailed off as she opened the leather-bound folder. These aren't Luigi's prices. They're my prices, I replied, watching Dad's face redden as he saw the new numbers. Turns out when you source ingredients directly from Italian artisans and employ Michelin-starred chefs, you can charge accordingly. Michelin-starred. Amanda scoffed. Luigi's is a family restaurant. I corrected, nodding to Marco. Show them. He pulled out his tablet, displaying recent reviews from food critics across the country. Luigi's Renaissance. How Sarah Parker transformed a local institution into America's most exciting new restaurant empire. Empire. Dad choked on his wine. Parker Restaurant Group, I continued, enjoying their expressions. 43 establishments, 6 countries, $3 billion in annual revenue. Though I'm sure that's nothing compared to Amanda's junior partner salary. My sister's face flushed. She'd spent the last family dinner I'd attended bragging about making partner at her law firm, right before they'd banned me for embarrassing them with my food service job. This is ridiculous, Mom burst out. You can't possibly own the restaurant you're sitting in? I signaled the chef. Let me prove it. Tonight's menu will be a 7-course reminder of every time you dismissed my dreams. The first course arrived, A deconstructed version of the pasta dish I'd tried to cook for them the night they kicked me out of family dinner. Course 1, rejection, I announced. Handmade black truffle pasta with gold leaf, inspired by the meal Mom threw in the trash because it wasn't proper dinner party food. Sarah, Dad started but I cut him off. Course 2 will be here shortly. I call it disappointment, Wagyu beef carpaccio, reminiscent of the time you said I was butchering my future like I was butchering meat. Amanda stared at her plate, probably remembering how she'd laughed when I enrolled in culinary school. Your old menu items are still available, I added. But they're now listed under traditional choices for traditional minds. Mom's hands shook as she reached for her wine. Why are you doing this? Because 6 months ago you said I wasn't welcome at family dinner. Now you're eating at my table in my restaurant, surrounded by the success you said I'd never achieve. The second course arrived, each plate a work of art. The critics called this dish revolutionary, I noted. The same word you used, Dad, though you added stupid before it. We were trying to protect you, he muttered. No, you were trying to control me. To force me into your narrow definition of success. I took a sip of wine. How's that working out? Marco appeared with a folder. The latest acquisition papers, Ms. Parker. The Richardson Restaurant Group accepted your offer. Mom's fork clattered against her plate. The Richardsons, their favorite successful family, had just sold their steakhouse chain to their embarrassing daughter. You bought their restaurants? Amanda whispered. I bought everything, I smiled. Their restaurants, their recipes, their real estate. Though I doubt they'll be attending any more country club dinners with our parents. Bad for their reputation to be seen with the family of their new boss. The third course arrived, a dish that had earned me my first Michelin star. I call this one redemption, I said softly. Though you might call it, be careful who you ban from dinner. Course 4, legacy, I announced as servers presented the next dish. A modern interpretation of Luigi's original recipes, proof that tradition and innovation can coexist. Unlike family and pride apparently. The artfully plated dishes sat untouched as my family struggled to digest something far harder than food, the reality that their embarrassing daughter now owned not just their favorite restaurant, but an entire culinary empire. The wine, Dad said suddenly, staring at his glass. This isn't from Luigi's cellar. No, I agreed. It's from my vineyard in Tuscany. The one I bought last year while you were telling everyone I was finding myself in Europe. Mom's hand flew to her pearls. Vineyard. Among other things. I gestured to Marco, who presented another folder. The Parker Restaurant Group portfolio. Restaurants, wineries, cooking schools, food tech startups. Even a few food-focused streaming series. The New York Times called us the most innovative force in global cuisine. Amanda flipped through the pages, her lawyer's eyes widening at the numbers. This is billions. 3.7 as of this morning, I confirmed. Though that's probably not impressive to someone with a real career. The fifth course arrived, a dish that had won International Chef of the Year. I call this one silent treatment, I said. Inspired by the 6 months you spent pretending I didn't exist. We weren't pretending, Mom protested weakly. We were sending a message. Oh, I got the message. Loud and clear. And now I'm sending one back. I nodded to Marco, who unveiled the sixth course. This dish just won Best Innovation at the Global Restaurant Awards. They're calling it revolutionary. Sound familiar, Dad? He flinched, remembering his words. This revolutionary nonsense will lead nowhere. Sarah, Amanda tried, we were all just worried about pie future. I laughed. While you were worrying, I was building. Every time you excluded me from family dinner, I was opening another restaurant. Every time you told your friends I was finding myself, I was finding success. The final course arrived, a deconstructed version of the tiramisu Mom used to make for special occasions. Course 7, remember, I announced. A reminder of when family meant more than status. Before success was measured by law degrees and country club memberships. It's beautiful, Mom whispered, looking at the artistic presentation. It's profitable, I corrected. Since that's what matters to you. This single dessert generates more revenue than a month of Amanda's billable hours. Dad set down his fork. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you. I raised an eyebrow. Like you told me I wasn't welcome at dinner? Or like you told the Richardsons I was an embarrassment? We were wrong, he said quietly. Yes, you were. And now you're eating in my restaurant, drinking my wine, and realizing that your embarrassing daughter revolutionized the industry you mocked. Marco approached with one final folder. The new ownership papers for the Richardson properties, Ms. Parker. Would you like to review them now? No need, I smiled. I trust my legal team. Though Amanda is welcome to look them over, assuming she can take time from her real career. My sister's face flushed as she recognized the implied insult. About family dinner, Mom started hesitantly. We'll continue here at Luigi's, I finished. But with some changes. First, I'll be attending, it is my restaurant after all. Second, the conversation topics will be expanding beyond law firm promotions and country club politics. And third, Dad asked. Third, I stood up, smoothing my designer dress. You'll be eating whatever I serve whenever I serve it. Consider it making up for all the dinners you banned me from. I signaled Marco to bring the check, not that they'd be paying. Oh, and one more thing. The Richardsons' going-away party next week? It's being held here. They specifically requested that their new boss attend. You're hosting their party? Mom looked horrified. No, Mother. I'm not hosting anything. I own everything. There's a difference. I headed for the door, then turned back. Next Friday, same time. Don't be late. The new menu waits for no one, not even family. As I left, I heard Amanda ask for a job application. Dad was quietly calculating the value of my empire. And Mom? Mom was probably already drafting texts to her country club friends about her daughter's surprising success. But success isn't surprising when you're willing to bet on yourself, even when family won't. Sometimes getting banned from dinner is just the appetizer before a feast of your own making. In my office above the restaurant, I watched through the cameras as they finished their meal in stunned silence. The family that had once banned me from their table was now eating at mine, drinking my wine, surrounded by my success. Marco's voice came through the intercom. Your parents are asking about next week's reservation. Tell them it's confirmed, I smiled. And Marco? Make sure they understand at my table, everyone's welcome. As long as they can swallow their pride along with their food. After all, revenge is a dish best served with a Michelin star.